Hello everybody, Matt here. Sorry if I sound tired though. My day's been there today. Anyway, go react to SGB reviews. Chronicles, the Dark Brotherhood. Now I'm not sure if this is the first video of the SGB reviews or the next one being Dead Rising or whatever.
Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood for the Nintendo DS is a good game.
And then they redoes the video, and then nope, it is not. When he actually redoes the video, he did.
Was this the Sonic RPG that I hoped for? Well, yes and no. For those of you who don't know, Sonic Chronicles is the Hedgehog's first attempt at an RPG game, like Super Mario RPG was for Mario. It was developed by BioWare, a company known for such acclaimed titles like Baldur's Gate and Mass Effect. Knowing this company would be responsible for Sonic's first RPG had a lot of Sonic fans excited, myself included. To summarize the plot, well, Knuckles has been kidnapped and the Chaos Emeralds have gone missing. Sonic, being the hero he always is, decides to go and rescue him. Along the way, he'll receive assistance from his friends that joined/plagued his past adventures, such as Tails, Knuckles after rescuing him, Amy, Rouge, Shadow, Big the Fat Ass, Cream, E123 Omega, a new character named Shade, and even Dr. Eggman joins their party for some time. You find out later that a group known as the Marauders, or the Dark Brotherhood as some would call them, is responsible for the mentioned crimes. The leader of the group, known as, well, I can never get his name. It's spelled IX, but for future purposes, I'm just going to call him Ziggy. Anyway, Ziggy is the leader of the Dark Brotherhood and wants to use the power of the Chaos Emeralds and Master Emeralds in order to bring his world, the Twilight Cage, into Sonic's world, where he will then conquer it. After bitch-slapping him around in the middle of the game, Ziggy decides to retreat into the Twilight Cage, where the second half of the game commences. It's around this time that we discover that Ziggy and Shade are actually echidnas. No, not those, but like Knuckles. It turns out Knuckles isn't the only one of his kind after all. But moving along, Eggman and Tails build a ship that is able to take the gang into the Twilight Cage, but Eggman decides to stay, and you can already see where that's going. After countless missions and Chaos Emerald hunting, the gang finally manages to confront Ziggy in his lair, where he is promptly handed his ass on a silver platter thanks to Super Sonic. With the Chaos Emeralds and Master Emeralds rescued, the gang heads back to their world where they find out that Eggman used the time given to him to effectively take over Sonic's world. At this point, the game ends. Yes, I'm not kidding, that's where the game ends, on a cliffhanger. The funny thing is that Tails and Sonic break the fourth wall and tell us, the gamers, to wait for episode 2. That about sums up the plot. Bravo, BioWare. Anyway, the entire game is touchscreen based. You don't use the D-pad or the other 4 buttons. You may use the shoulder buttons depending on your preference, but they're completely optional. Now, as a DS game, this should be expected. It works out most of the time, but it can be tiresome after a while. You navigate through the overworlds by dragging the stylus across the screen, causing whoever you're controlling to move in that direction. Again, it can get tiresome, and you'd wish they put an option to use the directional pad. There are no random encounters like some RPGs, and enemies are completely visible on the field. As such, it's your choice to fight, or to completely avoid your enemies altogether, although being an RPG, you're going to have to fight to level up eventually. Battles are turn-based. You choose what actions you want to take and watch as your allies deliver some whoop-ass to your enemies. Specials go under the name of POW moves. They can range from powerful single attacks, status boosting, or team attacks, like those seen in Chrono Trigger. However, executing POW moves is not as simple as choosing them and watching the characters execute them. Upon beginning the move, you need to input certain time commands, which varies between hitting a circle 8 times before time runs out, hitting a circle as the ring closes in on it, or dragging a circle to a specific point with another circle. It's confusing to explain, but if you played Elite Beat Agents, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The same rules apply when an enemy is executing a special move. By inputting the proper command, you can completely avoid the attack, but mess up once and, well, you live. Overall, it works, but it can become extremely repetitive after some time, and it can become extremely frustrating when you screw up a move, especially the healing moves. Mess up once, and it completely fails. Not only that, but the system forces you to keep your eyes on the screen at all times. You can't just input a move, take a sip of your drink, and think it'll be okay like other RPGs. No. You have to be ready and willing every second, for it can determine whether you'll live or die. That's not saying you'll die a lot. This game is very easy, and I mean very easy. There are just some special moves in the game that completely break it. Bosses are just as easy as regular encounters, and some characters have moves that are just ridiculous. I'm looking at you, Cream. In fact, I've beaten most bosses just using Sonic and Amy's fastball technique and Cream's refresh. The other characters just chipped in a little bit. Also, the game is very linear. It is impossible to get lost in this game. If you manage to get lost, then you're not playing Sonic Chronicles. You're probably playing Metro. The game mostly consists of going from point A to point B. You're told where to go through dialogue, and then it's marked on your map with a star. And for some reason, you still don't get where you have to go. You have a mission log that tells you what just happened and where to go next. Also, because it's so damn straightforward, there's little to no exploration. Sure, there are a few side quests, but they're mostly the typical, get this around the corner, bring it back, and I'll give you a petty award for it. It can become quite boring. There are item shops, but the only thing you're going to ever need to buy are healing items. There are weapons and armor that can increase your stats, but the boosts are so pathetic that I didn't even bother with them. And you know what? The game was still a breeze. There's also Chow in the game. Yes, those cute and adorable little bastards are back as relics of a sort. You can equip them to characters to get all kinds of effects like adding the fire element to your attacks, to completely eliminating the need to input commands for PAL moves. Again, broken. Of course, you have to find them first, but that's not the point. It's not like they're well hidden either. The visuals are quite nice, the backgrounds are beautifully hand-drawn, and the character models are nicely rendered, though it's a bit rough around the edges. While some characters look cool, some characters just look butt-fugly. Sound effects are quite nice, it's chock full of sounds from past Sonic games, but I don't think that's an excuse to use them for battle effects. Some of them come off as really lame because of inappropriate timing. Though the sounds are cool, the music is absolutely fucking terrible. Does this sound like a DS game?
Holy shit. Oh god.
No, it does not. It sounds like it was made for the sake of Game Gear. The only exception is the battle themes. They're okay. But for everything else, it's a complete mindfuck. And you know what? People claim that they're remixes of old Sonic tunes, but let me tell you, this doesn't sound like this. Overall, Sonic Chronicles is not the game I was hoping to be, but it's an enjoyable one altogether. The battles are good when you execute them well, the dialogue is top-notch, and I think it's only a sample of what BioWare has in store for the Hedgehog. But that's not to say they shouldn't work out the kinks, like implementing button controls and a better battle system, and for the love of all that's sacred, a better soundtrack. But with all that said, I'm Johnny of the Super Gamer Brothers. Have a good night, everybody.
To their respective owners, aka Sega. Super Gaming Brothers, 2008. Yeah, this was done way back in 2008. Pretty much when YouTube was in its prime and I was freaking 8 years old. I actually didn't know what YouTube was, so obviously I didn't have a channel. Because my channel didn't start until 2015. Yes, the year before YouTube pretty much went... or started going... whatever. So, currently I have issues with YouTube, who doesn't? But anyway, oh hell, I'll do freaking 2 react, why not? See you in the next reaction video. Oh, the Sonic Unleashed one that has to do with part 1, part 2, and the Wii one, I'll put that all in one video. I still need to review, not reviewing, correct the other ones.